Hey everyone, and welcome to another Siege and Sandfox live stream. I'm the designer of Project, Chris Wilson, and joining me as normal is Aidan Howell. Hello.
Hey.
Hi. Okay, so yeah, let's hop straight over to the game. So, for those of you who haven't seen this before, basically this is just our weekly roundup of how the build's looking, how it's going. The last couple of weeks we're building up towards a playtest, which we did. We got a bunch of useful information from that. Some of which quiet you, some of which has been implemented, some of it hasn't, but I think there's enough to talk about. Perhaps it'll be a little bit shorter than normal. So the first thing to bring up is actually what we were talking about just before the stream started, is that the occlusion thing has taken a bit of a sideways move. Do you know any more about what's going on with it, Aidan, or?
A little bit.
Yeah.
I don't know what's going on with the vignette in the middle.
Oh, yes.
But there's some... Ben was working on it culling, because they were drawing, presumably...
Forever.
Yep. So there was some work done on edges screen culling, but we're still getting some stuff culling within. Yeah.
I'll try and find a spot where the ground thing is too obvious, because I think as we were saying, as an idea is something that's present as part of the effect. I think it's fine, but it's too obvious that you've got this circle around you that's kind of pushing out along the ground.
There you go.
Yeah,
where it cuts into it there. That's not a good time. So yeah, I don't know what we do about that. But yeah, and the other thing, the culling, I assume it just needs to be, we need to raise some kind of tolerance on it.
Yes. So actually, this is the first thing that came from the feedback. This is a slight change, but a good example of how something that's picked up from playtesting. So the whole idea of this section, honestly, is quite straightforward. Is that we just want to tell you that, hey, you can jump this high, so you need to do the full jump height, and also, you can grab this surface and go up and down. I want to reinforce that a couple of times so you can see the intended path and the path. If I move out the way, I can't remember if the ghost does both. Whatever. The intended path is that you do it once and then you do it again. What I found a lot of people were doing, admittedly half by accident, but hey, at this point they'd only been playing about 20 seconds, was they'd be jumping up the walls and using a wall jump to reach the edge of it, which isn't what I wanted to do. So basically these walls now just firmly but politely tell you that that's not an option anymore, hopefully.
I think it looks better like this.
I think it does as well, yeah. But that's just one of those things where, hey, didn't expect that. But yeah, seems right.
This, I think we need to control it by putting some... or at some point we need to control shimmy by blocking where you can... I mean, we don't have that yet, but by putting some railings up that block you, and only, I think for this tutorial, only allowing you to come up past some railings would probably be a good idea.
I think we can probably come up with some stronger design language. This was relatively late in the game. I needed to think of something that forced you to mantle down, and that was not something we enforced before.
We get a 2-for-1 in that. If we keep to the right side of that, if we keep it the same. And then if we only allow you to climb back up through a gap in some railings, it kind of teaches this is how shimmy works. You can... but yeah, we might need another tutorialization of that later, but it's not really a worry for today anyway.
I definitely need to speed it up though. Rex has given me the ability, but I haven't done it. I haven't got around to it. Again, I mostly try to just think what makes sense for our game, but I often come back to... always force myself to remember the Splinter Cell games, which generally they have, really nice sets of animation. And yeah, they've got a kind of, shimmy thing like that, and it's crazy fast. Like when you play, it feels right, but when you actually look at the ground you're covering, it's insane. But now I know why, because if you have it slower, it's just frustrating. So this is something else I changed as well, and I should point out that how these ones worked is rather than actually sitting down chatting to Ed, I just kind of scribbled my normal nonsense into the layers. So this first bit is I did this actually just to gain the height back, because I thought, well, I can get a free reinforcement of the climbing, but also I want some of this height back for here. And actually, I'll be honest, this might be my fault, but I'm sure I made it so this leveled out much earlier, but instead maybe I didn't, so maybe I got it wrong. Just so you got more time to see the jump.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I don't know what happened there. It's probably my fault. I'll check. But yeah, that whole idea was that you get up to the height quicker and you spend more time looking at it. But then, of course, the thing is now this effect is kind of changing a bit. It's not. I don't know. Still work in progress.
Yeah, you can really see the culling issues around here as well.
It's not so happy, is it? But hey, this is the time to figure those things out. Okay, so nothing is really different here, I don't think. So I will move. There's a few other things. There's a light source down here now, which I think with a bit of tweaking, we can probably make that have the right kind of impact. Because it looked. The grate on top is very shiny and interesting, but underneath it looked quite dull and not that interesting. And obviously we've established a reasonable pattern of putting bright lights, the way it looks the most interesting to. I don't think of this.
Okay, yeah. I get it. I get it.
So I just saw Ed says, you can blame that issue in the previous room on artistic interpretation. I shouldn't have allowed any interpretation. No, it's fine. For a lot of them, I did actually kind of scribble on diagrams and explain exactly why I wanted it, and I will freely admit that was one where I didn't. I was like, this is obviously clear, but it wasn't, so that's my fault. So I'm just going up here because it's worth mentioning. So the biggest single issue with our demo in terms of people understanding it was the prompts, or rather lack of them, on the switches, and the way the switches didn't give you any indication of if they were done or doing stuff or whatever. So we're not done. Oops, I didn't mean to say that, but we're getting there. So the first stage is that now they have this prompt that comes up above them, and rather than that just being a dumb trigger that isn't aware of the actual switch and everything, it's exactly the same trigger volume that's used to activate the switch. So if I can see that, I can push it, and when I do push it, instead of spinning forever, it spins the other side and it stops, which I think is reasonably clear that it's hey, I'm done now. And also you'll notice the prompt disappears. So that, I realise this is obvious stuff, but it's just stuff that, hey, things fall off, and that fell off, and that caused a big problem. I notice again as well, and Ed, you'll see later why I did this. I'm going to assume he thought that I was being stupid when I included that bit of drop through, and just went, you probably meant to not do that, but actually I wanted that. But anyway,
it was very important.
It's fine. So we will see why it's important later. So I still need to. The last thing I'm going to do is a point of interest pass to fix stuff like all that. Even with all the culling issues, if I just look in the middle, I'm like, yeah, this is nice. It's a cool thing, because if you were hiding and there were people up there, anyway. So this hasn't changed a lot because it works fine. I was interested to see how people admittedly, see, this is a point of playtest stuff. I don't know. Lots of people spent a lot of time getting kind of stuck here until they used the right jumps, but because I'm so familiar with the game, I can't even remember what they did that wasn't the right thing.
Well, you can do either on the bottom one. So on that very bottom one there, I think, or at least you could. I don't know whether we've changed anything since, but you can run jump that, and so you can standing jump.
Okay. I wonder what they were doing. Or maybe maybe we changed it.
I think people were probably run jumping at first, because people run jump everything, and then that was positively reinforcing that, and then they weren't giving themselves it, because you can probably run jump that one.
Yeah, mate. Let's see.
But you would need to go right back. Oh, hey, check that out. You probably should have landed that.
Oh no! Oh no!
Now we're getting the true experience.
Yeah. Sorry, so Ed said, I can understand what's required, but I think we can solve the visibility issues with the occlusion system rather than cutting holes in the world. Yeah, I mean, it'll be easier for everyone else watching who isn't Ed when I show you the example of the effect I'm trying to get. Certainly, I'm aware that what I did wasn't a release solution. It's more
didn't look good, Chris. It didn't look good.
It didn't look good.
Verboten uses of things visually,
no,
but
that's what I do.
Yeah.
Okay. I noticed there's another fun bug that's appeared, by the way, that if I stand next to this wall and no stick input, I stick to the wall on the way up. Which whap.
That's an old one. Yeah. Got back. You get a new controller. Crikey. Yeah. Having a hard time there. Something just a bit flaky with those mantles.
Yeah.
Still.
So this is another little fix. So again, like you can see the the logic of people who are just focused on the thing they're doing. So there's 2 jumps like this, and what other people do is they get to this one and just do it again. And because we haven't told them, and we still haven't told them yet, well, we haven't found an enforceable manner of doing so that you can cancel out like that. So you can be sliding, just press B and stop. But because we haven't told people that yet, what people do is press the button again and do the jump. So now the hope is that we kind of get both in that they get more time to realize that that's probably not the thing to do, but also even if they do, they shouldn't fall all the way down. I'm sure they will find ways, but hopefully that helps.
Is this room just being made wider then?
Yeah, just literally this is I can't remember where it was exactly, but let's say it was like here.
2-3 tiles more.
Yeah.
On
I
there.
basically I measured it so it was the same as this, so there's the same, well, more actually. So yeah, you can do this. Hopefully that will help, and I don't think it doesn't, to anyone who doesn't know how it looked before, I don't think it looks any more awkward than anything else. On the other side, admittedly, maybe it looks a bit weird, but this room may move.
The other side is
a
bit of a mystery now anyway.
Yes, exactly.
As to what we're doing with that.
So here's another example. So we've got a prompt here, it's got the other button, and the only thing that this needs, well, there's a couple of things, but the other thing it definitely needs is it doesn't tell you can close it. But that might be our fault, actually. I say our as design.
I guess it needs to toggle to.
Yeah, I think it has the capability to. I'd have to check, because Rex actually wrote documentation, which I totally have read. I have before, but I haven't recently. So this has had a tweak as well. It's still obviously not done, but there's now 2 guys here. The reason for that is I'm hoping to catch a couple of issues. One, I just hope that, to anyone who already thinks they're an enemy, because the 2 of them, they'll feel less sort of, empowered to attack them anyway. And 2, 1 or 2 people were like, let's just top out so we can get a closer look. Like, well, I didn't know this guy with the torch was a bad guy. And you know what? Hey, we're trying our best. Like, there's some red accents, and he's kind of scowling as much as you can in those number of pixels. But as it stands at the moment, that's literally the first person you see. So I don't think it's completely unreasonable that someone might think, that's just a torch, and he's just doing his job. So having another dude with him who I think, by virtue of the weapon, just looks a little bit more intimidating. Hopefully,
a bit less friendly, a bit more.
Yes.
Bit more militarized with this fancy helmet.
Yeah.
I mean, we will have other options for telegraphing as well,
yes.
such as VO and things like that to clue you in that you're not safe.
Yeah. But to be honest,
another issue was people finishing this and then going, I'm going to murder these guys now.
Yes.
Which we need to discourage.
Definitely.
Or just punish people for doing that by having to attack and kill them.
The thing I'm thinking at the moment as well is I'm not quite sure the correct way of doing it. For example, like if I go up to them like this, and I don't actually know what the attack range is, but let's pretend, just for argument's sake, it was here. I'm not sure if at this stage you could just have some icon that basically said you can't attack them now, but I don't know if that actually makes it worse. Depends on the kind of person you are, I suppose. I feel like the general practice is normally for most things, like, for example, if this was a switch, which in a way it kind of is a weird switch, a weird fleshy human switch.
Turn on the deadness.
Yes, yeah. If it was a switch, then it is good practice that if the switch doesn't work right now, but it will work at some point, it goes, burp, not now.
We don't want people in this encounter to sneak up behind them and get an impression that they can't ever do anything. They sneak up behind people. So there's a few things we'd have to do to reinforce that. One of them would be having the usual prompt there with a strike through, like you say.
I'd like to try
again, dialogue, VO and dialogue, probably in framing this encounter.
That's the other thing as well.
That you're unarmed at this stage, so that there's no expectation of it working.
That's the thing. See, I wonder if, as we're talking, sort of beyond this next little session, thinking about having it that it's more, you're given an objective, how overtly, TBD, but given an objective to get your weapon, which obviously strongly implies you don't have one, which is, our favorite touch point, Mark of the Ninja. That's basically what they do. They kind of condense it, but they basically go, you don't have a weapon, you got to get one. Basically, like I think it's like all in one screen nearly. I think they just go, you're unarmed, but later, weapon.
And there we go.
Yeah, it works.
There we see why.
Yeah. Oh yeah, actually it does work from both sides. It does work from both sides. You're right. Sorry. I was just going to move up there straight away, but
You probably should, because he promised this explanation, and it's here now.
I was going to do it from the top only, but it makes sense. Okay, so the switch up there, it's on a drop through at the moment. That's like design, as in like, you know, design intent, like a white box tile that says drop through. The thing about drop throughs is that obviously the occlusion system ignores them. So from that particular perspective, right, this is great because it's like I can perfectly see that switch, like absolutely perfectly, but also I can use it from there. So yes, that was it, because I was desperately looking for a thing that did that, so that helped, because any other way, like without making specialist tiles, I couldn't find a way to have it visible that didn't look, you know, incredibly contrived. I'm aware that what's there is contrived, but you should have seen the things I tried to make before.
Wait, did it work? On the left, did it work? Not quite. It needs to be a little bit lower, huh?
Did what work? Sorry?
Over here. Oh no, you can get a feeling of the chest.
Oh,
the chest you fool.
Oh yeah, well
go and have a bit of a. You're an interested party. Go and try and rub up against it. See what you can see.
So yeah, this is a thing we're working on.
This is actually a reasonable tease. Jump at it. Have a good rub. No.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we're working on the placement for the first unlock, and this gone.
This is the first time I like that vignette. Oh.
Yeah, like I think you're right. It's just the effect that it has on different surfaces needs to be tuned. You know, the effect that it's having on the chest there is great. The effect it's having on the ground, like the exterior tiles, not maybe so much. But yeah, this is kind of starting to work. So this is a thing we realised. This is actually beyond demo route, but we're like, you know, for the first Metroidvania unlock thing, this is nearly the perfect place because most players don't come up here. As I said, like I was saying to Aidan before, when we tune it, I might make it that, you know, you get a bit closer to it, but whatever. The important thing is you're going to brush up against it here and you're going to see it, but you can't reach it until you get wall run. And the cool thing is when you get wall run, it doesn't matter which side of it you land because, hey, you'll be able to wall run up this surface to get to it. So it kind of, you know, bridges this whole gap up here, which, yeah, it's cool. The chest is coming on. I mean, this is a definite thing where you can imagine it having whatever our equivalent of the, you know, the crackdown or whatever audio noise is, because you could, you know, I can almost hear it in my head already. But that's going to be cool. I like it. Oops. Oh, no. Can I make it back up here? I can't remember if Rex tweaked this particular issue. Maybe. Okay, so let's just do this.
Not quite right though.
No, but
another thing, we've got an issue. We've got a general need for being able to see through things sometimes with this effect. So.
Yeah, I mean, so the first one, you know, bumped up hard against was the Switch one, and I think there's a few others where there's an argument for, again, you know, implementation to be decided, but there's an argument for maybe some things just are visible, or, you know, are some level of visible always, or as you say, yeah, we kind of arbitrarily.
Yes, we can place special lights that just punch a hole in this, no matter
what. Yes.
So there is that.
So that's an option. So sorry, Ed saying, I prefer unlocked chests to have a more grand feel to their location. Maybe a crack in the wall. Well, yes, so I should point out...
We discussed this, actually, that being able to actually get up through those columns there isn't necessary, so we could seal up that whole route so that when you climb those columns, you see it through a crack. Because it is currently now just in a cave room, so that's one of the things because we didn't want to make it any grander than that.
I mean, actually, you know what?
Chris and I discussed already was this. Yeah. Chris literally said this needs to be grander, but it belongs in this location.
Tell you what, yeah, exactly. We'll come back around to that because we're right next to this. So, sure, in terms of how this thing looks, agree, dumb as hell. But the best thing about it is, like, literally as I come up to it, look, okay, well, the occlusion has really screwed me here. It never used to do that. But basically, as soon as I'm right next to being able to use a switch, it's looking straight at the door. And then when I pull the switch, if you just imagine it actually was behaving better, then yeah, so that is desirable. Like, however we achieve that, sure, we just have a normal tile that doesn't occlude. But I spent ages trying all kinds of combinations of shapes, and when I realized, oh, actually, if I just knock out the occlusion on one tile, then you know, I get this perfect reveal. And if we again, I'm just just piling through all these cans of worms if we have a bit of you know, a small sync animation. You know, say for example, you know, I'm here and I press the button and actually it just moves me to the correct socket on the Switch, then that works even better in that particular regard, because then I know, at least for a split second, you know, these things have to be aligned in that manner. I'm not sure we'll need it. I kind of flip-flop on it. We were talking about it the other day, because I don't want to worry these guys, certainly not in terms of animation style or anything, but I was having a look at switches and stuff in Bayonetta, purely because it's like, you know, 60 FPS crazy action game, but it still has switches and stuff that you pull and have relatively long animations. And I was thinking, they never annoyed me. I never really cared about those. And I went back and I still don't, like, I don't find them annoying. And they do have a purpose. So anyway, just thinking about it. So this guy, obviously, I've kind of ignored him. It needs more attention. But, you know, things were on fire. It was wartime. But interestingly, I think Rex fixed the thing. I think he does actually go through this doorway now. Or disappears, you know, either or. But he does. And again, like, it's just one of those things that appeals, but I don't know if it'll make sense for the grander structure. It did make me realise that if you were going for a weapon and then you get a weapon at the top, it'd be cool if he's still around and you could do like a, you know, a takedown on him or something. Optionally, but, you know, he'd just be in the right place.
It would be nice to put him on the other side, to keep him in that room and just have him go to just outside the portcullis and then turn and face right. Just to
I mean, he can...
anyone who has been tailing him. Because I don't think we need him to go all the way into that room. He's not going to see you from down there if you stay in the box and just go right like a good little sneaky person. And if you do follow him, he's going to get to that door and turn around and spook you.
So I'm just
saying, so that run away from there. I mean, that's a good moment for someone who does follow him to get chased a little bit. Yeah.
So obviously, one of the sorts of issues I noticed in so that Ben's got it. It does cull NPCs and some other
radioactive Hester.
Yeah. Which is cool. I mean, obviously, again, we need to decide how that works. Like, I don't really know. Like, for example, is this a situation you ever want? As in, you can see their head and nothing else? I genuinely don't know.
Again, you know, we need one thing that's interesting with this effect is when we actually need it and when we don't. And generally, when things are exploration and parkour focused, it doesn't actually help us a ton. It's really in stealth sections where we want to deny information to the player, and we're talking about neat flourishes of, you know, revealing switches and things like that. But in an area like this, it's reasonable that we could just, when we find a method of fading it out and fading it back in, just do it until you get to say here.
Yeah, I mean, it's a thing you might be able to get it that you, like, dramatically tone it down, you know, so hardly anything is occluded. You know what I mean? So it's still, you've still got the feeling of that kind of space revealing, but it's not quite as harsh. But yeah, we'll see. I know what you mean, because if we use it the right way, you've also kind of got it as a tool for, you know, indicating when, you know, there might be enemies nearby or something if you do it the correct way. I think, there's some...
So, I mean, we were discussing before this stream that now it's gone black. It's very, very harsh now compared to where it was before. I mean, generally better behaved, but I suppose there are degrees now. I mean, we can play with how... I mean, you don't want it to be black. That's fine.
I mean, I said, like, we were talking about it literally just before the stream. I don't know what I want. I just know there are times when, like, it feels like nearly the entire screen is black, and that feels like too much. I
mean, I would agree with that, but, you know, we're at one extreme right now. So we've got the ability to just tune this to how we want it to be. The idea that maybe actually the opacity of this is tuned per environment, and is something that can lerp to different values.
Oh yeah, I discovered this.
Oh hey,
it's not good. Do you want to teleport to the origin, chaps? There we go.
Oh, there you go. Nice.
Yeah.
Fine. It's not actually far though, is it?
I know, right? I should be able to get.
When you can cheat.
Yeah, when I know I'm doing. Oh no! Oh, the camera's even doesn't. Wow. There we go. It's fine.
Just gonna skip all the way here, huh?
Well, I was nearly there.
You were, yeah.
Because I know that there's more of those platforms, and I know that they will all do that thing. So
we're still double zooming in here, and I would really like to try double zooming out.
We can do that.
Can we do it right now?
Maybe. Yeah, why not? What could possibly go wrong? How did I do this again? This looks very
You've got
very
that
suspicious.
massive point of interest. There you go.
This is a robust system. I certainly didn't hack this together.
That's subtle character right
so
there.
So minus 100. What do you want to do? Go the other way then.
Plus 100.
Yeah, you want to. You wanted to double it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Doing it live, and I can't be bothered to walk that far, so you're coming with me. By the way, I love the fact, I don't know when this happened, and obviously it doesn't actually matter, but it amuses me that the default animation that he's on is the laughing one, so it's just got this character laughing at me at all times. I need to start outside of this thing somehow, like up here will do. That's not where I was. Oh, yes, it is. Yes, it is.
Hear a scratching noise in the walls.
Oh, you know what? I think I've encountered this before. I'll just double check if I go in and out of it again. But I think that actually something in the camera just kind of just overrides it now. But let's see. Maybe not. Where is it? It's actually, there's another trigger volume that does it, isn't there? Doesn't seem interested in doing it, does it? Let's just see. What's your deal? Let's see if I can just get rid of him a minute.
Oh. Did he die?
Maybe?
No, he's there. He's still making particle effects and stuff.
There we go.
Oh, there we go.
I just think it didn't maybe I wasn't quite outside of the collision before. Don't know. Okay. I mean, I definitely think, I mean, this is actually, it'll be a good way to start testing these transitions, because I definitely, regardless of anything else, not sure how it's going to work, but here I definitely feel like we shouldn't have it at all, like the occlusion, like, because this should just feel totally safe.
Yep, I agree.
So turning it off and zooming this way.
I really like being able to see this much. You know, like I was saying before, when you look at this zoom level generally, how you would use the POIs changes, and that you would just kind of look to frame. You can frame entire areas now just in one camera zoom level. If only we could free zoom. You know, although I do wonder if our zooms are quick and not that horrible, whether we can get away with moving between. Ooh,
like that.
Yeah. Maybe
but obviously that is not in a very you know, sensitive manner. It's pulling it very quickly. So I don't have them in there because they're still being mocked up, but these can animate now. They are real boys.
After I said they'd be so controversial, you probably have the GIF though, right?
I do. Yeah, I think we're saving it.
Oh, we're saving it. Fine, don't show the GIF.
I don't have it to hand. But yeah, I think so. I think this will be the good place to test turning off the occlusion completely. So we'd have to have some transition for it. I don't know how, but yeah.
I think a fade.
Yeah, it could probably just fade.
First port of call. I mean, we've already ascertained over the course of this review that we want control over the opacity of that shape.
Oops. Yes.
So, hey, and maybe it's on poise as well? I don't know. Maybe.
But anyway, I think that's enough of that. I was going to talk a little bit more about the chest thing, but then I think actually we're all right, because so it's no longer wartime, so we're moving at a more sustainable pace. Okay, I do want to talk about that. I've decided. Yes. So as you said, the deal with this, there it is. So in terms of, we've come about this several ways, and it's always been on the periphery, so I didn't have time to go into it deeply until recently, and then actually it became kind of easy. But the deal is, you go, okay, right, it's the first unlock, so this has got to be like really impressive and amazing, and you start going, okay, well, kind of by the nature of the demo, we're going to be up in this kind of area, so what's not a million miles away, and you're like, okay, well, over this side seems fair. And then to start with, we were like, okay, well, let's pick somewhere like, as if what's the nearest place that we think we could turn into something grand? And you're like, well, okay, this looks pretty impressive. I mean, look, I can see that a million times over. I can see how that would work, and I could see how you could gate it so that maybe you can only come in from the top and then only exit, Anyway, blah, blah, blah. But that works from that perspective. But where it doesn't work, where nothing works as well, is when you sort of look at the overall picture of it. Because when you have, one of these cool things about Metroidvanias is you want to bounce near it, right? You want to see it and go, oh, that's a thing I want. I don't know how to get that. And then, you have that relatively quick moment where you'll come around here and you'll be like, I get it. And then you'll know what this is. And also now, because you've got this new ability, you've instantly got somewhere to use it here. So you can go this way, you can go that way. To be honest, I'm sure I'll try and contrive a way that you can go up here. So it's just suddenly you go, all these places I've been, I can just do all this stuff.
Well, you're going to get to it from Ghoul there.
Mm-hmm.
So, or is he a ghoul or is he a gull? I just don't know.
Let's just don't know.
So you've ridden the double lift. You've worked out that you get off the double lift early on the left. You're going to come down past Ghoul, and then you're going to drop into that little dip. And you're going to go, yes, that chest I saw earlier. What a tease. And now it is mine.
So it's a thing where, like, because there's a strong design case for it, we will, try and work out how to make it suitably impressive looking rather than find somewhere impressive looking and contrive the design because, hey, you know what? It doesn't always work so well.
No.
And that was an impossible task. It wasn't working. And the point is, this way is kind of easier because we're still fine-tuning it, obviously. Oh, and Ed's saying, might be some time for artist scribbles again. Soon it will be, because that's what I'm getting to. It's like, obviously we still need to just tune it a little bit, but this is, a pretty good starting point. But soon I should be able to say, yeah, okay, well, here's where it goes. And here are my, here are the requirements, i.e. you can see all of this area is like Wall Run City, which is great. So you can be like, go on.
The other thing that we discussed when we went over this and moved this here was having now found a home for it that needs to be arted up and made pretty at the border of like 4 tile maps. So have fun.
Yes, I will. That is not ideal. But the funny thing is, of course, that's actually what makes it so good. Like the nature of it being between all those tile sets is what makes it such a powerful thing to unlock it. You can suddenly, there's all this new stuff that you can go. And I just love the idea, like I said, with a bit of tuning, but just how the visibility works, that you'll come up here and you'll see it. Every Metroidvania of note anyone's played, you have that moment where you're like, there's that thing. And you're going to get it, but you can't get it yet.
Well, we had this has always sort of been that way here. We've always tried to. It's amazing the number of revisions where we've had. It's been Ghoul that's been there actually, as the kind of thing that you could see on that side that you couldn't quite get to in the past. Although he's been nestled into different places around there. But hey, now it's a chest. Great, nice to see that back. But it's the right time to do it. It's a hard slog to do that tutorial to that point, and it's nice to see something glowing and sparkly and aspirational. That
I just it will work. I said like how it looks, sure, not yet, but I can see with just very minor changes. I mean, this used to be, parts of it used to be some of our like wall run tutorial reinforcement-y stuff. So it's easy to just straighten this out a little bit and be like, you got this new ability. By the way, here's all this cool stuff you want to do. And if you're one of those people like me that likes to sort of connect the dots and immediately goes the wrong way to check where I am, it's like, well, no problem. You can just get straight back up. So that's cool.
It doesn't matter as long as we lock the doors on the bridge, which I think is a likely course of action. Some minor modifications to the bridge, but if you go up, then you get a thorough wall run tutorial. And if you go down underneath the bridge, you can't do a whole lot of underneath there without.
Yeah, I mean,
either.
I can see this, right? You can. If we think so far, we've been very restrained and we have none of those horrible, okay, not horrible, but if overused are horrible. We have none of those situations where it's just like, for no reason, you can't go this way. So we've been very, we've kind of built up some credit there. So I think I wouldn't be annoyed as a player if I come over here and this door goes, nope, not right now. Come back later. Like, I think that's fine. And again, like, as long as you're not doing it every other door, it builds anticipation. You're like, what's behind there? Like,
it's preferable to me that door says no than the cave that goes up or the hole in the floor that goes down, because you really want the main door to be a bit of a tease.
Yes.
So
No, I think that'd be
good.
nice. And again, we can, you know, we can be very tasteful with our restraint of areas up here. So you might see little bits, but you can't get it. You can see it, but you can't get there just yet. And then, yeah, I mean, okay, we're going too far out. We're not sure, but you can see that, you know, you might do some stuff in this general area, and then maybe we give you the, you know, because that's always nice, right? You know, I know we're going to do other things, but just for sort of discussing general Metroidvania flow, in some ways, right? Imagine, you know, you do some stuff over here, whatever, doesn't matter. You get the key, and then you unlock the doors going this way. So again, you'd have this situation where you come back to this door and you open it, and you're like, oh yeah, I get it. This is how this all links together, and that, you know, those always feel nice. And so, yeah, I think that will work nicely. But yeah, I think that's everything. I said it's a bit shorter this time, just purely by the nature of, yeah, you know, we're just moving at a nice measured
we're pushing
pace
the build
now.
out of the door, so it's
Yes.
a different kind of focus with moving along, getting new stuff as opposed to trying to meet the new stuff that we had planned. It's an awful description.
Brent says, late to the party, lost track of time because I was... and we'll look at this, because he was implementing procedural / unique musical cues based on Sam Fox's location and behaviour. Well, those certainly sound delicious. And it's a very good excuse. Okay. Yeah, I think we're good. So we'll be back again next week. Oh wait, I nearly forgot something that I should definitely mention. And I will both post the link. Hang on, let me find it. I was ready. I will stick the link in here, because I always remember that chat is actually archived. And I will also just drag it over here. So we'll be back doing this one as usual on Thursday, 8 PM. But also next Tuesday, we're doing a little bit of an intro to Paper 2D. AKA...
You say we, Chris.
Yes.
You.
Me.
You're going to be doing that.
Well, okay, but I'm only standing upon the shoulders of the people who actually made this
as
work.
Cardboard Sword, you will be representing us all. And, well, I suppose you are. Continue uninterrupted.
That's fine. It's okay. I made a mistake. I did the dumb thing again where I was like, oh, I'm showing a thing on the screen, but actually, nope. So yes, we will be doing this next Tuesday at this time, and yeah, it will just be covering the basics. AKA, it's a lot of the questions we get. That actually, honestly, don't get me wrong, as I hope we very amply show as well. There are lots of very tricky things, you know, doing Paper 2D stuff. But you know what? There's a lot that isn't actually that hard. So hopefully we can get you over that, you know, get you over that start bit without too much trouble. But other than that, yeah, that's everything. I'll see everyone next week. See you later.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.